Come and have a seat up on your lift. Cross your legs in the center of your shins. Ensure that your shoulders are over your hips, that you're not leaning forward, not leaning back. As we get settled in, simply begin by noticing the experience of your body without making changes yet. We'll get to some changes, get to the adjustments. Noticing your body, noticing the breath, noticing the quality of your mind in this moment. If we observe beforehand, it gives us a base point. So as we practice Svadhyaya, self-study, welcome Seema, welcome Joan, Sandy. As we go through our practicing Svadhyaya, self-study, we can observe the changes. Remember, yoga is not about the movements and the actions we take. It's about the observation of the effects of those movements and those actions. So noticing where we are now. And we do so with a sense of curiosity versus a sense of judgment. Open your heart, open your mind to curiosity as we journey through our day here. Rest your hands on your thighs, upper arms in line with your side ribs so the elbows can loosely dangle down, finding a softness in the shoulders. And then we'll begin to make minor adjustments. And remember that it's not about the adjustment, but it's about observing the effects of the adjustments after you make them. Maybe there's no change, maybe there is a change. That's what the study is about. So find that even balance of the sit bones. Lengthen from the inner thighs through the inner knees, but also from the upper inner thighs back towards the lower abdomen, so that whole area from the lower abdomen to the inner knees on both sides is lengthening. Like you're lengthening an elastic band or a rubber band. The flesh of the inner thighs descends. And draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact your hips together. Remember, as you compact the hips together, doing so in such a way where you don't do it so much that you begin to grip the inner thighs. You have to find that evenness, that even work between the inner leg and the outer leg. The inner leg continues to lengthen, the outer leg continues to contract. And then observing the effects. What are the effects in your legs where you took the actions? Welcome, Jillian. What are the effects in the abdominal area? Often there's a softening there, it's drawing back. But you may feel something different. I'm not telling you what to feel. Just giving some guidance on places to look. And has there been a change in the breath? Or the speed, the quality of your mind, thoughts? Now maintain this experience of the legs and lengthen through your side ribs, from your hips to your armpits, find a lengthening. There is a tendency for many of us, myself included, to throw the front bottom ribs forward when we lengthen through the torso. So I'm going to ask you to take the front bottom ribs towards the back body as you lengthen through the torso and side ribs. And again, it's not just about the physical lengthening, although that's beneficial to physically lengthen side ribs and spine. But what are the effects? What are the effects physically? What are the effects on the breath? What are the effects on the mind? Lengthen from your inner armpits to your inner elbows, what we sometimes call the groin of the arms. You find a lengthening there. The elbows draw down. And again, as you lengthen the groins of the arms, how does that affect the breath? What are the results of the actions? Can you study? And keeping your elbows where they are, bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest, touch your palms evenly left to right, right to left. You don't need to press hard. Very light pressing, but there's an evenness of the two sides. Move the shoulder bones down and away from the sides of your neck. Release all of your facial features. Let your eyelids close from top to bottom and rest your eyes into your cheekbones. Gaze at the seat of your heart, the seat of your soul. And we did a check-in before we went through all these actions. Do another check-in. Observe. What's the experience now of the body, of the mind, of the breath? And let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely, deep inhalation. Om. 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 15 your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Shoulders still releasing, still lengthening through the side ribs, still lengthening the inner groins. Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. From the back of your head, gently let your eyelids open. Straighten your legs. Fingertips by your hips. If you're still on your lift, if you want to do Dandasana on the floor, that's fine. Then your hands will be flat by your hips. If you're still on your lift, fingertips by your hips. Shoulders over your hips so that you're not leaning back. There's a tendency to lean back in this pose. There's a tendency to throw the front ribs forward. Take the front bottom ribs back. Press the tops of the thighs down. Not just your knees, but the thighs, the thigh bone. The thigh bone moves from the front of the leg towards the back of the leg. Lengthen the inner thighs, from the inner thighs through the inner knees, through the inner heels, pushing through the ball of the big toe. Remember, from the upper inner thighs, there's also a drawing back towards the lower abdomen. Lengthens out in both directions. When the flesh of the inner thighs descends, and there's a drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Lift and lengthen up through the side ribs. Again, watching for the front bottom ribs that they don't push forward. That hardens the diaphragm when they push forward. So you want to draw the front bottom ribs back, soften the diaphragm. The upper arms do rotate out here. Release the shoulders down. as the side ribs lift up. Dandasana, staff pose. Take your legs out to the sides. Now, if you've taken your legs as wide as they possibly can go, take them a little closer together. You don't want them at your maximum, at least for what we're doing today. It's actually harder to work the legs when they're at their maximum. Press the thigh bones down. Well, balance evenly on the sit bones first, right? So balance evenly on the sit bones. Press the thigh bones down. And again, pay attention to the results of those actions. If you really get the thigh bones pressing down, the torso lifts up. And you might notice that it happens more on one side than the other. Like this leg here, my real left leg, not mirroring my putting my real left leg. So you're right. I say press down the thighs. This one presses down. I feel my side lift up. This one doesn't really do anything. I have to bring my awareness to the leg that doesn't quite want to pay attention, wants to do its own thing, and press down there as well to even out the legs. But then I notice it evens out the side ribs as well. Now your experience may be different. That's fine. What is it for you? Lengthen from the inner thighs through the inner knees, through the inner ankles, pushing through the balls of the toes. Toes up, Veronica, right? So everybody, you want your kneecaps up and your toes up. From the upper inner thighs, also draw back towards the lower abdomen. So again, the groins are lengthening in both directions, but there is the lengthening out through the whole leg, inner leg. The flesh of the inner thighs descends, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Again, seeking the evenness on both legs. Can you spread the awareness to include both legs, not just one, not just the one that's demanding your attention? And what are the results of these actions? Take your hands underneath your knees. Pull straight up. The feet will come together. You can then take them the rest of the way together. Baddha Konasana. You can take your fingertips by your hips. If you want to be on the floor, if you want to hold your feet, that's fine. If this is comfortable to you, if you have the openness there, that's fine. But for some of us, when we're here, the knees are just too high up. So then you take a lift, and then there's more space in the groins for the knees. So this is fine. But you can play, you can study which one, try both and see which one works out best in the end. And every day is a little different. Some days I use a lift, some days I don't. If you are on the floor, I want to caution you that there's a tendency to pull the hands into the feet and pull up. If your hands are underneath your feet, you push your feet down into the hands and push your hands into the floor. So don't battle your feet. Now that looks nicer, George. Doesn't that feel nicer? Press your heels. Lengthen the inner thighs from the inner thighs through the inner knees, but also from the upper inner thighs back towards the lower abdomen. So that whole area between your knees and your lower abdomen is extending. That's it. That's good, George. And then just bring the shoulder blades in to lift the chest. That's it. Yeah. The flesh of the inner thighs descends. Draw your outer knees to outer hips. Compact the hips together. The same work of the legs. Soft jaw. And then maintaining that work of the legs, of course, first observing the effects. And then lengthen through the side ribs. The front bottom ribs still move towards the back body. And there's a lifting of the chest. Shoulder bones away from your ears. And observe the effects of this pose. Pose very important for abdominal organs, reproductive organs, whether they are being used for reproduction or not. Male and female. This is very good for the prostate for men. Very important pose. Take your hands on the outside of your knees. Push your legs together. Hold behind one knee. There are two strands there. Take one in each hand. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Drag the heel, straighten the leg. Other leg. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Drag the heel, straighten the leg. Back to Dandasana. Thigh bones down. Lengthen the inner thighs. Lengthen out through the whole leg. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. Flesh of the inner thighs descending. Lengthen through the side ribs. Watch those front bottom ribs. Draw them towards the back body. And release. Come onto your hands and knees. We're setting up for downward facing dog. If you use the block or the chair or something else for downward facing dog, get what you need for it. Otherwise, from the floor, take your shoulders over your wrists, knees slightly behind your hips. Rotate the forearm in and press through the balls of the first finger and thumb. And at the same time, rotate the upper arm out, but don't fall into the outer hand. So you're still pressing through the inner hand as the forearm rotates in and the upper arm rotates out. Push into the floor, lengthen through the inner arms. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. Keep pushing into the floor, lengthen those inner arms, take the shoulders away from your ears. Inhale. On your exhalation, take your thighs back, take your chest towards your thighs, take your sit bones towards the ceiling. Take your heels up high at first and really press those thighs back. Really press the thighs back. Get as much length as you can between the tips of your first fingers and your sits bones. And keep pressing those thighs back. And as you take your heel down, really take it back. If you take it back, it will go down. But if you take it down, it won't necessarily go back. So take the heels back and down to help you get that length. Now there's still the lengthening of the inner thighs. So from the inner knees, lengthen up to the lower abdomen. Pressing the thigh bones back. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. And as your outer heels go down, lift your outer hips up. Coming into a forward bend, Uttanasana. Walk your feet forward. Hold your elbows. Take your feet at least hip distance apart. You can take them wider. If your legs aren't straight at hip distance apart, take them wider. You can take them to the edge of your sticky mat. Hold your elbows and have your upper arms in line with your ears. The thighs are still pressing back. The thigh bone moving from the front of the leg towards the back of the leg. Lengthen from the inner knees to the lower abdomen. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. So again, the inner leg is lengthening, the outer leg is contracting. The flesh of the inner thighs moves back. See how it's these same actions through each of the poses. Of course, you have to notice the effects of the actions. It's not about the action, it's about the effects. In the effects of the actions, there are some similarities from pose to pose, but there are also some differences because the body is in a different form. Move your hips towards the ceiling. Let your torso fall over your thighs. On each exhalation, take your chest towards your big toes. Let the skull completely release. Back to downward facing dog. Let your arms go. Take your hands on the floor. Walk your feet back. Bend your knees slightly. Take your heels up high and take your sit bones up high. Lengthen from the first finger, tip of the first finger, all the way through the inner arms, through the armpits, all the way up to the sits bones. And move the sits bones up and back. And then as you press the thighs back to straighten the legs, lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Lengthen from the inner knees up through the groins to the lower abdomen, and take your heels back. Now take your abdomen, roll it into your tailbone, and press your thighs back even more. Get that little extra length in the side ribs and in the spine. And be careful not to dump down in your front bottom ribs. So the front bottom ribs still move towards the back body here. See, Veronica, if you can take your shoulder blades in. Shoulder blades in. That's it. And then look up, walk your feet forward. Hold your elbows the opposite way you did the first time. So crossing the forearms the opposite way. Feet same distance apart you had the first time. So if your feet were hip distance apart, take them hip distance apart. If they were a little wider, take them a little wider. Press your thighs back. Lengthen from the inner knees to the inner groins. Or through the inner groins, I should say. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Now, everyone, we did this the other day because there's a tendency for us to lean back slightly and the hips are slightly behind the hips. The hips are slightly behind the heels. So everyone, bring your hips slightly forward so they are above the heels. The weight will go onto the balls of the toes for a moment. That is totally fine. So let the weight move to the balls of the toes. Bring your hips over your heels. Now really lengthen the groins. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. As the hips go up, the torso falls over your thighs. Now keep your hips over your heels and press your heels down. And you can always do it again. Bring the hips forward, move the weight to the balls of the toes, lift up through the legs, lift up through the inner and outer legs, keep the hips over your heels and press the heels down. And then let your arms go. Sweep your arms back. Take your hands slightly above your hips. Extend your chest forward. So the thighs are still pressing back. The arms are extending back and the chest is extending forward. Keep these actions as you inhale, come up into Tadasana. And then you can turn to face the front, feet together in Tadasana. If feet hip distance apart is more accessible to you, take your feet hip distance apart. That's fine. Judgment-free zone here. Ensure that your hips are over your heels, that you're not leaning back or you're not thrusting your hips forward. So hips over your heels, shoulders over your hips. We tend to either be rounded forward or we overcorrect and then we throw the shoulders back. The shoulders over the hips, hips over the heels. It's one of the first things we learn in yoga. It's one of the hardest things ever to achieve. But we keep seeking. Balance evenly on your 2 feet. Press your thigh bones back. Lengthen from the inner knees to the lower abdomen. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. The flesh of the inner thighs moves from the front of the leg to the back of the leg. Take the front bottom ribs towards the back body as you lengthen through the side ribs. Move the shoulders down, extend through the arms. Extend the groin of the arms, right, from the armpit through the elbow, inner elbow, and then keep extending outward. There's also the opposite action, just like we draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, we draw from the outer elbow to the shoulder. Both sides evenly. So your chin is parallel to the floor, back of your head in line with your buttocks. Observing, studying. When your mind wanders, which foot does the weight begin to lean on? Can you stay in the body and adjust? And then release. Everyone take a block. If you have blocks, take a block on either side of your mat. If you have one block, take it to the right side, and then you'll move it. If you don't have a block, we're doing Uttita Parjo Konasana. So if you don't have a block, you can use a stack of books. You can use a pot. Yes, that works. Or you don't have to use the block. You can take your forearm on your thigh, and that's fine. But stand in front of the blocks, not in line with them, because I don't want you to hit the blocks when you separate your feet. So we'll come back to Tadasana. And actually, let's do a nice Urdhva Hastasana first. So extend your arms out to the side, thighs back, front bottom ribs in. From your armpits, rotate your arms up. Let's get some extension in the arms. From your armpits, push your arms up. So keep the thighs back, keep the front bottom ribs moving back, and lengthen through the side ribs all the way up through the armpits, through the arms, as if your side ribs are pushing your arms up. Now remember, the hands are a part of the pose. So don't let the pose just stop at the wrist. George, take your triceps towards your nose. So everyone, the triceps move towards the nose. So your palms face each other. You can even look up for a moment. Do my palms face each other? If not, don't just move the wrist, but adjust your upper arms so that your palms face each other. And when they do, take your chin back parallel to the floor. Turn your hands out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Interlace your fingers together, turn your palms out. Watch those ribs. Did you notice how your ribs came forward as soon as you turn the palms out? So take the front bottom ribs towards the back body as you take the arms up. Again, opening the armpits. Remember, this is about opening the armpits. So thighs back, ribs back. Now open those armpits as you take the arms back. Extend your wrists towards the ceiling, shoulders towards the floor. Extend your arms out to the side. Interlace your fingers the opposite way. Turn your palms out. Watch those ribs. So thighs back, ribs in. Push the webbing of your fingers together. Inhale, come up. Open the armpits. You have to take the ribs back. If the ribs go forward, you're less likely to get those armpits open. So ribs back, armpits open. Extend the wrists up. But then draw the shoulder bones into the shoulder sockets. Right, so there's still that outer elbow to shoulder. And the shoulders move down as the wrists go up. And then from your side ribs, push the wrists up more. Release your hands out to the sides. Come down. Uttita Parjo Konasana. Take your fingertips up by your chest. You can jump or step your feet apart. Bend your legs, jump or step your feet wide. Take your feet underneath your hands as your arms are extended. Drop your shoulders. So you're holding up your arms from your armpits, not your shoulders. You want your feet to be below your hands as your arms are extended, or whatever is accessible for you today. But resist just doing the narrow pose. Of course, if you whatever you need for your own balance. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Make sure your front heel is directly in line with your back arch. Keep the back thigh moving back, press the outer rim of the back heel. Turn the front thigh from the inside out with your knee in line with the top of your foot. And again, Joan, I can't see you, but if this is difficult too much on your knee, take a chair and you just do the pose over the chair. Inhale, on your exhalation, bend your front leg, knee over your ankle, and then you take your hand on the block. If anyone at home doesn't have a block, you take your forearm on your thigh. Otherwise, you take your hand on the block, extend your left arm up, rotate your arm. Now press into the back heel as you extend your arm over your head. George, you're gonna use the chair instead of the block, right? I think we actually did that once before. So this is a little too low for you. You're gonna take that on the mat so it doesn't slip. And then the same pose. Yep, bend the leg, bend the legs, take the foot a little forward. You can take the foot so it's in line with the chair. See how my foot's in line with the block? So you have to pretend that that chair is the block. Don't take the knee past the ankle though, right? So you want your shin parallel to the floor. So keep pressing that back heel, rotate your torso towards the ceiling. That's it, good, George. Rotate your torso towards the ceiling and extend through that whole left side of your body. Head is back. And then as you reach through that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet and over to the other side. You'll have to take that chair to the other side. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. And take that block to the outer heel. So take the back thigh back, press into the outer rim of the back heel. Turn the front thigh out so the knee is in line with the top of the foot and lift from the outer knee to the outer hip. Inhale on your exhalation, bend your leg, knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. Exhale, take your foot down. Watch that knee going past the ankle, Leanne. Right arm up. Rotate the arm so your palm faces your ear. Now press into that back heel and extend your arm over your ear. Keep pressing into that back heel. On that front leg, there's still the lengthening of the groin. Really both legs, but that front leg, lengthen the groin, draw the outer knee to the outer hip. Then both legs, lengthen the groins, draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Right, same actions. Lengthen that through that whole right side of the body. And then reaching through that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet and jump or step your feet together. And then study. Why did we do that pose? What effects did it have on you? And one more time, adjust the blocks so that you're not going to hit them. And you can always step apart. If the blocks are in the way, you just step your feet apart. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step. Drop the shoulders. Left foot in, right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Take the back thigh back, press the back heel. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Now don't think, when you bend the leg, don't think of it as the knee bending, but think of it as the buttock is dropping. All right, so inhale, exhale, drop the buttocks down. Drop the buttocks down. Inhale, exhale, take your hand on the block. And then everyone just take your top hand on your hip. So take the back thigh back and press into the heel. Take the front, the right buttock forward. And take the right knee and move it into your elbow. So it stayed, not so it goes, for those that have the flexibility, not so it goes past your ankle. The knee is over the ankle. But the knee and the elbow work together. So the right buttock forward, right knee back, left thigh back. And there's this opening in the pelvic area. Now begin to rotate the torso. Keep the head back. Don't let your bottom shoulder follow the torso. The upper arm and the bottom arm rotates out. That stays back. Rotate the torso and then extend the left arm up. Rotate it. Now press into the back heel and extend your arm over your ear. And from the back heel, extend all the way through your fingertips. And from your fingertips, extend all the way through your back heel. It's a two-way street. Not one way. It goes both directions. Then reach through that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Take your hands on your hips for a moment, just because I'm in a good mood. Observe the effects of the one side. And then the other side, arms out, right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Take a block. Again, the back thigh goes back, press into the back heel. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to the outer hips. So the groins lengthen, outer knees to outer hips. George, make sure the toes of the front foot point straight out. That's it. Keep pressing the back heel. Inhale. Now remember, don't bend the leg. Drop the buttock down. Drop the buttock down. That's it. Inhale, exhale, hand on the block. Or if you don't have a block, forearm is on your thigh. And then take the top hand onto your hip. Now keep that back thigh going back. That looks really good, Veronica. The back thigh goes back from your hip press into the back heel. Take the front buttock forward. It helps to lengthen that groin. If you lengthen the front groin from the lower abdomen to the knee out in both directions, there's space for the buttock to come forward. Again, Paris Karen, you have to be careful with this because of the replacement hip. It works differently. And then draw from your outer knees to your outer hips. So that helps bring the knee back. When you draw from the outer knee to the outer hip, the knee goes back towards your elbow. So front buttock forward, front knee back, and the back thigh goes back. And rotate the torso. The head is back. Rotate the torso. Don't throw the ribs forward. Front bottom ribs still move towards the back body. Extend the top arm up. Rotate it. As you press the back heel, extend your arm over your ear. And from the back heel, extend all the way through your arm. From the fingertips, extend all the way through the back heel. Press your back heel down. The energy flows in both directions. Veronica, try not to fall with that back thigh. Take the inner back thigh up. And then reach through that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet, jumper step your feet together. Well, I noticed it on Veronica, but I'm sure she wasn't the only one doing it, since I do the same thing sometimes. So watch for a second. We're going to do the pose again because it's actually an important action and it's worth understanding. When we take this, the front buttock down, this leg tends to drop. On the back leg, we need to move the inner thigh to the outer thigh. So the inner thigh moves to the outer thigh, and it actually gives us more access to press onto the back heel. We want to keep that as we bend the front leg so that this doesn't fall. See the difference between this and this? So I'm not just lifting my leg. I am taking the thigh back, but I'm moving my inner thigh to the outer thigh. It helps turn the torso. It helps create more space here in the front groin. All right, so let's do it one more time, and let's consider the back leg as well here. Then we'll move on to another pose. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll do this pose all day. You never know. Fingertips up. Bend your legs. Jumper step. So take your hands on your hips. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Now let's just place the block. Take the block, put it next to your heel, and then come up so that the block is ready, the chair is ready. So this back thigh comes back. Now move from the inner thigh to the outer thigh and press the heel down. I'm not asking you to shift the hip. It's not that. It's not an action of the hip we're looking for. The hip may move back as you take the thigh back, but there's not a shifting of the hip like that. It's just the inner thigh moves to the outer thigh, and from your outer hip, press the outer rim of the back heel. And then on the front leg, turn the front thigh from the inside out without letting the back thigh go forward. That's what we were working on the other day, Tuesday. Now, this is where you have to use your mind. I'm asking you to keep pressing the back leg, the inner thigh towards the outer thigh, diagonally towards the ceiling. Keep that, but some of the awareness will go on the front leg. Spread the awareness. Now take the right buttock down. Yes, the leg will bend, but keep the back inner thigh moving to the outer thigh. Oh yes, I notice everybody's moving more slowly. Yes, in order to do that, you have to move more slowly. Then you can extend the arms, keep the awareness on that back leg, take your right hand down, take your left hand on your hip. And we all do something here, and the mind goes to wherever the mind's going to go, but you can bring it back. So left hand is on your hip, take the right hand on your hip. What's that? Left, sorry. I'll figure out one day. I'll never figure out left and right. But the inner thigh, back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Now still lengthen the groins, both, but especially the front leg, outer knee to outer hip, front leg, buttock forward, knee back, and then open the chest. But keep that back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Now finish the pose, extend the arm up, rotate it, extend the arm over your ear. As you extend the arm over your ear, keep the inner back thigh moving to the outer back thigh. That looks so much better, Veronica. Press the back heel, extend through the arm, and reach and pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet, take your hands on your hips, catch your breath. Right foot in, left leg out. Take that block, place it to your heel, come back up. So again, the back leg, the thigh does go back, Now take the inner thigh towards the outer thigh, diagonally towards the ceiling. And some of you will notice that there's then more pressure automatically on the back heel, outer rim of the back heel, just from that action. So inner thigh to the outer thigh, diagonally towards the ceiling, press the back heel. Now spread the awareness, don't move it. Spread it to the front leg. Turn the front thigh from the inside out without letting your back thigh come forward. The back, inner thigh, back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh. Now maintain awareness on the back leg as you drop the front buttock down. Yeah, you have to do it more slowly. Sometimes we do our poses much too quickly. And there's space for quick poses, for vinyasa, fast flowing, there's space for that. But there's also space for this. The back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel, lengthen the groin. That front knee moves back, the buttock moves forward. Now extend the arms. Inhale, exhale, hand down, right hand on your hip. Back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh. Inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Lengthen the groins. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Front leg, buttock forward, knee back. Now keep the awareness on the legs as you rotate the torso. Extend the arm up, rotate the arm, extend the arm over your ear. Back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel, and then from the back heel, extend all the way through the arm. Leanne, take your left ribs forward. Left ribs for yeah. Observe your pose. Reach through that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet, jumper step your feet together. Tadasana. Study. What did you learn in that pose? What did your body learn? What's the experience on your body, your breath, your mind? All right, make sure the blocks are out of your way. Utthita Trikonasana. Triangle. I mean, they can be on your mat. Well, you can either take your hands on the blocks of the shins, but so you can separate your feet. You don't want them in the center of your mat. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jumper step. Drop your shoulders, hold your arms up from your armpits. Left foot in, right leg out. Now it's the same action here. So the back thigh back, let's just start it here. Inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Turn the front thigh out, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. And then inhale, exhale. You can take your hand either on your shin, on the block, on a chair. Good, George, with the chair. And George, you can keep your hand down if that's more comfortable for you, or the hand goes up. Back thigh back, inner thigh, back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh, press the back heel. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. That's it, George. See, it's actually easier with wider legs. That was really good. Spreading those legs further apart. Don't push the front bottom ribs forward. Take them towards the back body. Head back as you rotate the torso and extend the arms away from each other. Reach through that top arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet over to the other side. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. The back thigh goes back, but that inner thigh moves to the outer thigh so you can press the back heel. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Inhale, exhale, take that hand down onto the block, your shin, even your thigh, right? Thigh's fine too. The back leg, inner thigh to the outer thigh. Pressing through the back heel. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Keep the front bottom ribs back into the body as you rotate the torso. And extend those arms away from each other. Pull yourself up and up. Parallel your feet. Upper step your feet together. Tadasana. One more time. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jumper step. Left foot in, right leg out. So again, that inner thigh moves to the outer thigh. The thigh goes back first. So left thigh back, move the inner thigh towards the outer thigh. It's a diagonal line towards the ceiling, and then press into the outer rim of the back heel. Turn the front thigh out, lift both outer knees to outer hips. And exhale, take the right hand onto the block, onto your shin, onto the chair, wherever it goes. And everyone, take your left hand to your hip. Now really get that back leg again. So the back thigh goes back, not just the knee, but the thigh. The inner thigh moves to the outer thigh, press the outer rim of the back heel. Now turn the front thigh out. Do press the ball of the front big toe as you turn that front thigh out. Don't fall into the outer foot. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Now watch those ribs. There's a tendency to throw this pose into a back bend. And there are versions of it where you can exaggerate the back bend, but it's not the traditional pose. So take your front bottom ribs towards the back body so that the torso is in a straight line, so that you could be leaning against the wall right now. The back of the head is in line with your buttocks, which is in line with your back heel. And then take the right ribs forward, left ribs back. Eventually the head looks up, but you can look straight ahead or up if you have that flexibility, if you have that turn in the torso. It's not from the neck, it's from the torso. Only the end is from the neck. And then you extend your top arm up. Extend into the back heel. Extend through the arms. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Study, observe. Pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Take your hands on your hips for just a moment. Take a breath. I'm still in a good mood. We'll see how long it lasts. All right, arms out. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. The back thigh goes back from the inner thigh back leg. Extend towards the outer thigh, or press towards the outer thigh, I should say, and press into the back heel. Turn the front thigh out at the same time. So even here, can you spread the awareness to both legs so that they're both working? When you turn that front thigh out, press into the ball of the big toe and lift both outer knees to outer hips. Inhale, exhale. Left hand goes down onto the block, shin, wherever you want it. It's fine. Then take your top hand onto your hip. Let's go back to the back leg. Take that thigh back from the inner thigh, move towards the outer thigh, press the outer rim of the back heel. That's good, George. At the same time, turn that front thigh out. Don't lose the awareness of the back leg. Lift both outer knees to the outer hips. There's also the lengthening of the groin. Now maintain that in the legs. Take a snapshot there. Don't let it change. Take your front bottom ribs towards the back body and rotate the torso. Let your head go back. Back of the head in line with your buttocks, in line with your back heel. And then you can either look straight ahead or up. Extend your top arm up. Extend the arms away from each other. Press, extending into the back heel. Lifting both outer knees to outer hips. Extending those arms away from each other. Study. Observe. Press into the back heel, pull with your top arm. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Check in, study. We're not between poses. We are in a pose. What part of your body is paying attention? What part of your body has a dullness to it? We're not judging. Don't beat up the dull parts. Just notice it, observe it. The very act of observation will send awareness there. All right, take your blocks towards the front of your mat now. Parvrita Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Now in the revolved version, Parvrita Trikonasana, your feet aren't quite as wide apart. So not underneath your hands, but closer to your wrists, forearms, so that the hands can be a little closer together.
I mean, not hands, the feet are a little closer together. Take your hands on your hips. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. But now you have to take your hip and torso around. So you can pick up your back heel. Instead of the foot facing more outwards, it'll face more forward, not directly forward, but instead of a 60-degree angle, at about a 30-degree angle, so that you can get your left hip forward and your left ribs forward. And then you take this block on the instep of your foot. If you've been practicing for many years, if you've got this pose down and you want to take the block on the outside of your foot or go to the floor, it's fine. It's your practice. But I'm taking the block on the inside of the foot here. It helps in this pose. It helps to get the turn if you really lengthen the groins from the inner knees to the lower abdomen. Don't just stop at the top of the thighs, but come into the body from the inner knees to the lower abdomen, lengthen and lift from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. The flesh to the inner thighs still goes back. Now, take your left arm, extend your left arm up, reach up, because you're gonna end up turning to the right. From your back heel, reach all the way up. There's a tendency to throw the front ribs forward. Take the front ribs back. Inhale, on your exhalation, reach forward, 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 and then take your hands onto the block. Now keep the right hip moving back. Keep the right hip moving back. Extend the chest forward. Inhale. I know now you can't really see me anymore, but if you need to look, you can. Rotate your torso over your front leg so that you begin to face the back wall. No, other way. So take that chair. This chair has to come in front now, right? Because it replaces the block. That's it, right? So now we're twisting. Try not to lean back, Leanne. That's it. Yeah, great. Now do the turn from there. Now you lean back again. So stop leaning back. Take your right hip towards me. Take your right hip towards me. No, you're taking your right hip away from that one. Take it towards me. Yeah. If you have your balance, you can certainly extend your top arm up. And then hand on your hip. Now the balance is in your back heel and your left arm. Press into your back heel and swing your left arm up and out. And then parallel your feet. The block is in your way. Take your hands on your hips. Take a breath. Any complaints? Anything I should know about? All right, then we got a whole nother side to do. We might even do it again. All right, so put your legs the same distance apart they were, because often when we come out, we might mess things up a little bit. So right foot and left leg out. Pick up that back heel so you can square your hips, then take the heel back down. The toes are at about a 30-degree angle instead of that 60-degree angle. And take that block on the instep of your foot. Take that right hip forward. Take the right ribs forward. Now again, it really helps in these twists to lengthen the groin. So from the inner knees to the lower abdomen, lengthen on both legs. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. And yes, the flesh to the inner thigh moves from the front of the leg to the back of the leg on both legs. Now keep those front bottom ribs in as you lengthen the right arm up. Reach up, press the back heel, reach up, reach up, reach up. Inhale, on your exhalation, reach forward, 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 forward. Keep the chest moving forward as the fingertips come to the block. Take the left hip back, left hip back. Now lengthen those groins again. Compact the hips again and extend the chest forward. Inhale, and on your exhalation, rotate towards your back leg or towards the back wall. That's it, George. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. That is going to help you. Lengthen those groins. That is going to help you. If you'd like, you can extend the top arm up. Not a problem. And then take your top hand down, press into the back heel, use your right arm, pull yourself up and out. And then parallel your feet, jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. All right. We're doing it again. Anything I should know about? Any questions? Any complaints? What? I said I'm in a good mood. Is it not in a good mood to do it one more time? I thought that was a great move. All right, but here's what I want you to think about. When we come down, we tend to, as we turn, we tend to lean back, right? Because we feel a little bit more open. I don't know if you can really see it. I'll try showing the other side and maybe that'll show more. But we tend to lean back. We throw the hip forward and we lean back because somewhere it makes our chest feel a little bit more open. But this isn't a back bend. It's not, I mean, we always want the chest to be open, but we also want the back body to be open. And this is about turning the spine. So when you come down, I'm going to do this like, when you come down, I want you to think of your spine, just take it straight down. So it's now perpendicular, parallel to the floor and parallel to the side walls. And then when you turn, it stays there. It stays there in that one straight line. So you're not moving your torso forward. You're not moving your torso back. You're simply rotating as far as you can go today. This is it. You know, you look at the book and yeah, he's got his torso, it's parallel to the walls. I'm not there today. So you have to go where you're going to go, but begin to get that spine turning. All right, let's try it one more time. And maybe I'll return to a good mood afterwards. I don't know. We'll see. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Hands on hips. See, that's the good mood. Your hands are on your hips. Left foot in, right leg out. Because in the real pose, you can't take your hands on your hips here. They're up the whole time. Pick up the back heel. Take that left hip forward. Take the heel down. Square the hips to the side of the room. Square the ribs to the side of the room. And place your block. Now keep your hands on your hips as you come down this time. There's benefit to extending the arm up to get more length. So we're going to have to get that length a different way. But I want to focus on that spine staying straight. So press into the back heel. Lengthen the inner groins, inner knees to lower abdomen. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Now, hands on hips, you still need to lengthen in the spine. So take the front bottom ribs back and lengthen through the side ribs. Inhale. Now keep an eye on that spine, or the inner eye on that spine. Exhale, come down. You're not moving to the left or right. You're just taking your spine parallel to the floor, keeping it parallel to the side walls. And then take your fingertips onto the block. Now, keeping your spine parallel to the front and back walls, rotate over your front leg. Rotate. Don't let that right hip move closer to the wall. Keep that right hip the same distance away from the wall. That's better, Sean. Good. Keep that right hip the same distance away from the wall. Keep your spine the same distance away from the front and back walls. And rotate. Don't tuck the chin so the head goes slightly back. Good, Veronica. Although you're beginning to take the spine towards me, so take your whole torso closer to the back wall, to the rope wall. And then enjoy. You can extend your arm up if you want. Yeah, so George, you're fine there because you're doing a twist, but the left hand would be the one that's down and the right hand is up. And then top hand down, press into the back heel, use your lower arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Take your hands on your hips. Because I'm in a good mood, Veronica. I'm going to remember that. Wait till what happens next week. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Right foot in, left leg out. Pick up your back heel. Square those hips to the sides of the room. Square the ribs to the sides of the room. And then take that block on the instep of your foot and then re-square your hips and ribs. So get the legs. Press into the back heels. Lengthen the inner groins. That gives you more space to turn. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. Now we're not extending the arm up. So I want you to take your front bottom ribs back, but you still have to get that length in the side ribs and in the spine. Inhale. On your exhalation, take your torso, focusing on that spine, straight down, not to the left, not to the right. It's parallel to the front and back walls. And then take your hand on the block or fingertips on the block. Take your left hip back. Don't let that left hip go closer to the wall. Keep your spine, it's going to turn, but in space, it's going to stay exactly where it is. Rotate the spine over that front leg. The head goes back. Don't let the hip get closer to the wall. Don't let the spine move forward or back. That's it, George. Good. This is the last of the standing poses. Study it. Feel free to extend your top arm up if you want. And if it's up, then the arms extend away from each other. Study. What are the effects of your actions? Lengthen the groins more so that you can turn more. What are the effects of the actions? And top hand down, press into your back heel. Use your right hand, swing yourself up and out. Parallel the feet and jumper step your feet together. Tadasana. Check in. What are the effects of that pose? What are the effects of the poses? And release. Downward facing dog. So you can use blocks. You can use your chair. You can use the stairs if you're at home, or come down onto the floor. Again, forearm rotating in, press down through the ball of the first finger and thumbs, rotate the upper arms out, push into the floor, lengthen through the arms. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come into the pose. Thighs back, chest towards your thighs, sit bones towards the ceiling. Once again, lift the heels, take the sit bones high, push into the hands, lengthen through the arms, armpits, and side ribs. Press your thighs back. Don't dump in those front ribs, front bottom ribs to the back body. And then take your heels back in order to take them down. And then study. What are the effects of those actions? How is this pose different from 40, 45 minutes ago? Shoulder blades, Veronica. Yeah. And then bending your legs, touch your knees to the floor precisely the same moment. If you're on the chair or stairs, you can come into Tadasana. If you're on the floor, feet together, knees apart, take your sit bones onto your heels first, and then extend your arms forward. Rest your head either on the floor or on a block or some sort of lift. And let your skull release. Knees further apart, George. Knees further apart. Because then it gives you more space for your torso. That's it. No, don't worry about getting the head down. Head on the block was good. Head on the block was good. Yeah, because then your sit bones can get further back towards your heels. All right, take your hands underneath your shoulders. Push to come up, everybody. Lie back. Lie back. Take your feet on the floor. Bend your legs into your chest. Hold around your shins. Draw your thighs towards your torso. Then hold around your right shin only. Take your left foot to the floor. Draw your right thigh towards your torso. Drag your left heel on the floor. Straighten your left leg. The left thigh descends down. Watch the knee. It's the thigh, not the knee. Still lengthening the groins. Drawing the outer knees to the outer hips. Now take your right hip away from your right shoulder so the two sides of your torso are equal in length. That gives you more space to draw the right thigh down And as you draw the right thigh down, extend through the inner left leg. And then bend your leg into your chest. Both legs together now. And then hold around the left shin only or behind the knee. I didn't say that before, but it can be around the shin or behind the knee. It's fine. And then take the right foot to the floor. Keep drawing the left thigh towards your torso. Drag your right heel, straighten your right leg. The right thigh turns in, the right thigh presses down, the thigh, not the knee. Take the left outer hip away from your left shoulder so the two sides of your torso are equal in length. That gives you more space to draw the left thigh down. And as you draw the left thigh down, extend through the inner right leg more. Again, groins are lengthening. Observe the results of your actions. And then bend your right leg next to your left, holding around both legs. Give yourself a nice hug here. Use this opportunity to say something kind to yourself, remembering that the purpose of yoga is to still the fluctuations of the mind so that you can bathe in your own true splendor. Can you take a moment here now to observe, to recognize the true splendor inside of you, to honor it, and perhaps even to bathe in it? On your inhalation, release your legs, let your feet come to the floor. Drag one heel on the floor, straighten your leg. Drag the other heel on the floor, straighten your leg. Let your legs fall apart. Find a comfortable place for your arms, maybe at about 30-degree angles to your body, but maybe a little wider today, whatever brings you ease today. And let go. Let go. Surrender to the Mother Earth below you. Let your legs surrender. Let your arms surrender. Let your torso surrender. Surrender to the Mother Earth below you. Let gravity have you. Let your skull release. Release, relax all of your facial features. All of your facial features letting go. Rest your eyes onto your front brain. Rest your front brain onto your back brain. Let the brain itself become smaller, denser, moving away from the bones of your skull. Draw your ears inward and listen to the breath from the inside of your body. Become a witness as the breath breathes you. You don't need to breathe, the breath will breathe you. And you become a witness for the breath as the breath breathes you.
To begin slowly coming out of your Shavasana, take a soft, smooth, peaceful inhalation and a longer, smooth, peaceful exhalation. Move your toes, wiggle your nose. And your legs, place your feet on the floor with your knees together, feet apart. Knees together, feet apart. Place your hands onto your abdomen or onto your chest. Let the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers, and heal whatever it is you may need healing with today. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right. If you prefer rolling to the left, roll to the left. That's fine. Whenever you feel ready, place your top hand on the floor in front of your heart. Turn your torso towards the floor first, and then push to come up. Come up chest first, head last. Come up to sit in, cross your legs the opposite way you did the beginning of class. Bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. Lift up through the side ribs, broaden across the front chest, broaden across the back chest. Draw your eyes back and down as you turn the corners of your lips up. Taking a moment to observe your practice. Svadhyaya, self-study. What's different? What's changed? Remember to take your yoga practice with you, outside of this room, into the rest of your day, your evening, into all of your interactions with other people, with kindness and compassion, for others, and most importantly, kindness and compassion for yourself. And let's close our practice together by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Feeling like your eyelids open, big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
everybody.